Maximalist.
Undeniable. There are old heads out there that are like, and I think anyone who doesn't believe progressive trap is a thing is racist in a way. Not to like take flowers away from Justin Bieber from being a talented singer. He's a terrible rapper, which we found out on this song. 2 Chainz's verse on that song is so hard, which brings me to the game. What's harder? 2 Chainz's verse in 3500 or, not that I know the pricing index of cocaine, but like...
No, in this economy, it's tough these days, my guy.
I mean, don't blame me. You brought it up, man.
I can relate, yeah.
Yeah.
This is your fault.
This is your fault. I'm being a dick. All right?
Yeah.
This is your fault.
Yeah.
I love a good victim shame.
Hey, man, it's the only mental health problem I have. Doing great, guys. Yeah.
And I agree. Like with that, with my own take. Surprising.
I agree with myself.
I agree with this note I wrote earlier. Fuck,
Yeah.
I'm good at this. Welcome, everybody, back to the Full Spin Club. My name is David Stewart. I'm the host of this online album listening club, akin to a book club, but cooler because I don't like reading books. This week, we're talking about Rodeo by Travis Scott, and my guest today is Tyler Jones. Give it up for Tyler Jones, everybody.
What's up?
All right, Tyler, what'd you think of the album? And afterwards, we're going to say the classic welcome to the club and get that album spinning. So go ahead and give me that one-word descriptor of Rodeo.
I was torn on this one, but maximalist.
Maximalist.
Yeah, I don't know if that's even a real word at this point, but we're going to go with maximalist.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, welcome to the club, man.
Oh my. In the city moving slow, 3500 for the coat. Now it's pay, nigga got a day-to-day to stack it, still I pay. I use the faces of urine, then do the same. Popping pills is all we know. Split a pack, got the woods down. Call your friends, let's get drunk. Call your friends. I be flying high, yeah, I be flying high. I can tell, baby, I can tell. I don't want your apple pie, mama. Should've never let niggas in, should've never let a niggas in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is very cool in these cozy chairs.
All right. I would say my one-word descriptor of this album was undeniable.
I like that, but I don't know why.
Okay.
Explain yourself.
Deal. I was gonna.
Good.
I'm gonna.
Wait, we're doing never mind. I got it. This is a thing. Okay, my bad.
No, I was going to because I'm anxious and I over-explain as a coping mechanism. But undeniable. So I talked to a few people before asking you to come on about like this record. I was like, hey, this one's coming down the pipeline. What do you think? And there were some people, I talked to people like across the spectrum. I think you were the one that was most excited. And I was like, cool, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
But there were people who were like a little more timid about it.
Sure.
Who gave it a listen anyway, just as out of curiosity after having the conversation. Mm-hmm. And they found a track. They were like, this rules.
Okay.
And so something I've been thinking about as far as like interesting tidbits when it comes to musicians is like when they make something undeniable, something where someone who listens to a different genre can find it and be like, okay, this actually rules. Because I'm typically a pop punk guy. I'm typically into the sad Midwest emo shit. And like my second genre is hip hop, so like I'm not by any means out of my depths here.
Okay.
But like when I listen to a song that's outside of my preferred genre, where I'm like, no, this rules. Like that's where I consider it undeniable.
Okay.
And I think this is Travis Scott's like undeniable record, where like someone will listen to it who's out of their wheelhouse and be like, I found like I fuck with this one. Yeah,
absolutely. Or at least a part of this one.
Yeah.
You know, it can be anything. I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even like the old heads, I know, like they love this album specifically, and it makes a lot of sense, right? Because how far back is he going, and how many accolades is he giving to like the 80s and 90s of hip hop to the underground legends, not just like the big shots, which is awesome.
Yeah, he paid a lot of homage. I have a point about that coming up that's
Hell
exciting. And I think also just he made some truly undeniable hits when it came to like what these songs sound like, and just had a really good understanding of what makes songs great and like sort of timeless.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that's why I used undeniable as my word.
That rips.
Yeah,
I love that.
I definitely understand maximalist as well.
Oh yeah,
like because like his entire production style is so big.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's all over the place. But I also enjoyed, outside of even the production style, how this guy can switch from like a like Denzel Curry, Kid Cudi vibe, all the way to like Young Thug, Playboy Cardi, like whatever these things. I feel like this dude is all his influences show, and then everybody that has even come since him show that he has influenced them.
Right.
He's found this spot that's like, I love it.
Yeah, he's been so good at influencing like modern rap. Like even before he released Rodeo, he was working on Yeezus with Kanye West, and so it was interesting because the person who like listened to this album just out of curiosity after I mentioned it to him was just like, it sounds like The Life of Pablo. I'm like, yeah, because he, like he influenced Kanye on his way, moving forward, and he didn't know that, and he's like, oh wow, so really The Life of Pablo sounds like Rodeo, or like, and then I was like,
no,
yeah,
it's perfect.
pretty much.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's been fascinating. But so for those who don't know, there are 4 sections of this show. We're experimenting with the runtime, we're with the running order of the segments. But up first today, we're going to do Record Scratch, which is where it's sort of like a warm-up round. I have some interesting mini-game, or 2 mini-games I'm going to play with Tyler, and we're going to get sort of like warm up before we start getting into the next section, which would be On a Pedestal, which is where we talk about 3 things that we loved from the record, like you would in a book club. And after that, we move on to On a Spit, which is where we come up with 3 roasts of the record, things that were not so great, and we like to make fun of it because nothing's safe. And the 4th section is going to be On a Turntable, which is where we dive deeper into the record and into our own lives and start talking about some of the meanings or some of the deeper things that go on in this record. And that's how we're going to end the episode today. And so, Tyler, you feeling ready?
Oh, I'm feeling ready.
All right.
Now, I don't know what this record scratch game is going to be, so this is going to be amazingly fun and shows how great I am at improv.
Yeah. Improv's a big part of my history. Improv's a big part of my history. I love these games. Like I try and steal the vibe from those like TikTok game show, like improv game shows. Like, that are sort of like At Midnight that Taylor Tomlinson's now hosting.
Oh hell yeah!
But it's like Game Changers. Check them out. That Instagram account rules.
Oh yeah, the Dropout guys. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
amazing.
Super fun.
Oh my gosh! All right.
So I think we're going to get started with the mini game that I've come up with recently called Hit or Full of Shit. It is where I have takes that are, one of them this time is from the internet, is not my own take, and then 2 of them are actually my own takes that I've like sort of come up with, and you're going to play the game Hit or Full of Shit, where you call me out for being too generous or like too kind in my take.
Okay.
Or tell me that there's some merit there.
Okay.
So we're here to stir up some controversy.
All right, cool. You got it.
So the first one is not my take. This is from the internet. It stems from the idea that that Rodeo is considered progressive trap, which is a fascinating new genre to call something.
Yeah.
And I have all the opinions in the world about progressive trap. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
But there are old heads out there that are like, and I think anyone who doesn't believe progressive trap is a thing is racist in a way. Like, I think they just don't like the fact that rap can grow. And
okay,
it's ultimately just kind of racist.
Yeah.
But I believe this take took it too far.
Let's go.
90210 is the 2010s Bohemian Rhapsody. Hit or full of shit?
Full of shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I know I just prefaced this entire thing, be like, if you don't think progressive trap is a thing, then you're racist. And I'm like, but that take is bad.
Yeah.
That's a bad take.
It's a horrible take. I mean, for 2 reasons. A, Bohemian Rhapsody, that's just on its own.
Right. It's an all-timer.
Right. But 90210 out of all the songs, too?
Okay, so I love 90210. It is
It's
on
a
my
great
pedestal
song.
list. It's super good.
Yeah.
And like I can see the thread, right? Because it does have a couple of different movements, but not to the depth of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Right.
Like the spectrum of things that they stuffed into Bohemian Rhapsody is so wide. And it's not even kind of as wide in 90210. There's no operatic, section where essentially Freddie Mercury and the band become, 25 voices because they just wore the tape so thin it was see-through by like re-recording it over and over again to get the layers needed.
Fine.
None of that in there. So
none of that in there. Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right, and I think though, what just popped into my mind is how funny would it be if there was an auto-tuned operatic section of a Travis Scott song?
That would rule.
That would rule.
All right, Travis, if you're not a coward, give it to us.
Yes.
Give it to us. Auto-tuned trap chorus.
Please.
We want it. All right.
Great.
Next up, now we're into my takes that I've made up for this. All right, so I think that the take here is Travis Scott was anally intentional with his guest verses on this record, to the point where I will give him flowers for that. This is, in my mind, this is one of those opinions where people would look at me and be like, I think you're giving him too much credit. No, I think he was incredibly intentional with his features, and he's incredibly intentional in two separate ways. One was getting the cosign of former trap giants to sort of sign off on his version of trap music moving forward. Okay. So he had people like T.I., 2 Chainz, Chief Keef, all these people who are like known Mount Rushmore folk of trap music. And I think he intentionally brought them onto the record as a way to co-sign, this is where I'm headed with it, and you can't fuck with me because I got these people on it. It was almost like a protective move.
Yeah.
And then the second thing by intentional features, and this is how deep I think it goes, and this is why it's on this list of hitter full of shit.
I love it.
Is because, so on the song Maria, I'm Drunk.
Yep.
It's really odd first to have Justin Bieber on that song because he seems incredibly out of place compared to the people I mentioned before, like Chief Keef, 2 Chainz, holy shit, T.I.
Yeah.
Seems super out of place. But the entire song is about being at a party and being drunk with your friends.
Oh, yeah.
And so he made his choices intentionally to have like just famous person, you know, like, and not to like take flowers away from Justin Bieber for being a talented singer. He's a terrible rapper, which we found out on this song.
Yeah, we could do without that again.
Yeah, that was tough. But I think he intentionally made that song have like weird features because it's meant to be like at a party, not like a song intentionally like with a good trap feature. It's meant to actually like bring to life this idea of like being drunk with your buddies at a party.
Yeah.
Hitter full of shit.
Oh, it's a hit.
Oh,
100%. Yeah,
hit,
100%.
baby.
Yeah, big hit. Because I agree with that 100% because I literally have that written here as like underneath my whole. That's what I think about like maximalism, right? The names that he brought into this album they are very intentional. It feels, but I mean these juggernauts across the way. Like, I mean, Future, dude. What I loved about like, let's say like 3500 was, for a second there, because I didn't know Travis Scott at the time when I heard it, I said, man, Future sounds different doing this chorus. I was like, wait a minute. This is that guy. I love this. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll never forget how I felt that first time listening to that song. And it was one of my favorites straight up for a while after that because it's also just catchy and cool.
It's great.
But, like, anytime you bring The Weeknd in, though, I'm done. I'm sold. I love it. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sold. I'm like, I'm not done. I'm like, no,
shocking take.
Yeah, no, because The Weeknd, like, I could listen to anything that man has done, even if it's bad. I still like it. That's so weird. Even if I agree that it's bad,
because I think this has to be one of The Weeknd's weakest features.
Yeah.
I genuinely think that. Like, it's been talked about on the internet before, but like you would think Travis Scott and The Weeknd, when they get together, would create this all-time super crazy dope song, but like consistently across Travis records, anytime he brings on The Weeknd, it's like one of the weaker tracks on the record. It's super strange. It's just like two people that are actually like, the town is not big enough for the two of us. That's how I feel about it. Like, the track is not big enough for the two of you.
I love that, because that's also like the theme of half their shit talking songs too.
Right.
It's like, oh my God, yeah.
There's not enough room for both of them, and they end up kind of becoming weaker because of it. Like,
it definitely weakened the song. I'll see myself out. Yeah.
Anyway, the episode ended.
It's done now.
It cuts to me alone. I'm like, so I had to kick him out.
Yeah. It's like he's no longer a comedian.
He's actually done.
You're never gonna. This town ain't too big enough for the two of us.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, exactly. I love it.
But
I agree. There was one person though on that note, real quick, that I was shocked wasn't on it when I first started listening to it. I thought that I was going to hear A$AP Rocky on there. Ooh. I don't know why. I'm not saying it due to any kind of like relationship, because I didn't even look into that. It just occurred to me because of how much it reminds me of A$AP Rocky. Yeah. But I mean, maybe there's a reason for that. I'm going to Google it later.
Yeah, we can go find out if there's any bad blood there. I have no idea. I don't know anything about the comings and goings of people.
They were both pretty prominent at that time, too.
Yeah.
That was like at their biggest peak, like A$AP Rocky was, yeah. I just thought I was going to hear him. It just reminded me so much of him.
I wonder if it's because it reminded him so much of him that, like, it's like, we're going to have too much of the same.
That's probably right, yeah. They even had like the same style at that time.
Yeah. Just sort of like maximalist and like kind of weird acid rap. Like,
absolutely.
And just like kind of
acid rap.
Taking things in.
Progressive trap, acid rap. This is amazing. I'm loving this. I love that we're going down the genre hole.
Yeah, well, acid rap, not to be confused with Chance the Rapper's mixtape named Acid Rap.
That's true. That's true.
The last good thing he made? ?
Yeah. Yeah. True. Okay. Yeah. Talk for another time.
Yeah, that one's a hit. That one's not full of shit at all.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But let's get into this last one.
Let's go.
I say this album is Travis Scott's best work. Hit or full of shit?
Hit-ish.
Yeah. All right. So I left that one intentionally like open because I will defend it. Like, I'll defend my take.
Yeah.
I have notes but we'll see if I can sway you. So like hit or full of shit. This is Travis Scott's best work.
Yeah. I'm gonna go we'll say hit because I'm at 60% yes, but I think the best part about Travis Scott to me is I feel like you can listen to Travis Scott's different albums depending upon how you're really feeling.
Sure.
And I will say, though, it's definitely better than Utopia.
Yeah, Utopia was tough.
Yeah.
Utopia was tough. It had a few good moments that I do circle back to. I think Fiend is really fun. And I think Drake's verse is pretty good on the song on Meltdown. Yeah,
I mean, honestly, man, I'm going to say probably the craziest thing that's going to ever be said right now in this moment. I'll pass on Drake any day.
Yeah, I'm actually not a Drake fan. So
okay, cool.
Cool. I'm not.
With that man's recent video in work, or
well, what are you gonna?
Yeah. All right. So, now tell me, get me on full hit status.
All right. So full hit. This is where my take becomes unhinged.
Okay, let's go.
So I think that this, in the zeitgeist of the internet, of anyone who like followed Travis Scott up until this point, got their payoff, and their payoff being like the hero's journey of like rags to riches.
Sure.
Because anyone who had followed him, because like I watched a lot of videos of like real diehard fans talking about this record, and I think the theme that I found across it was those fans got their payoff of the person they've been watching finding themselves. And I talk about that because I talk about that with Tyler, the Creator, a bit. I was one of those people that hopped on early with Tyler, the Creator, where I was like, Goblin is crazy. I love it. I'm a teenager, like
that's true.
And then I grew up alongside him, like we're the same age, Tyler, the Creator and I. And so growing up alongside him, and then later when he put out Flower Boy, I'm like, oh my God, you did it.
Yeah.
You found it. You found yourself.
Yeah.
That rules. And like it's that payoff is what makes that record so good for me as like a fan.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of people call this their like Travis Scott's best work because it completes his hero's journey. Like he found himself and he did it. He did the thing he's been hinting at and like and I don't even mean hinting at himself like via tweets or anything like hinting at in his own artistic work. Everyone sees the breadcrumbs. They're like, something's here.
Mm-hmm.
Something's here. We don't know what it is, and it's up to him to find out. But when he found out, we got Rodeo, and I think like that payoff is what made these kids absolutely cream their jeans.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. Great.
All right. Yes. I can get on board with that because once you made your Tyler the Creator point, I agree. I mean, that's where I feel it because we all have those artists in our lives.
And I think like those fans are so loud on the internet that like everyone's like, what's this guy all about? And like that's like when, you know, like the older heads come in, they're like, I see what they're saying. I don't think it's like worth, you know, like freaking out over, but he is good. But I think like his like diehard fans that have been following him for a while and have been on this journey and like followed the breadcrumbs, like dude, the payoff must have been so wild for them.
Oh yeah.
Like and like same with like Igor with a lot of people with Tyler the Creator as well. I just think the payoff came during Flower Boy.
No, I hear you on that. This is cool though. I think that Rodeo is I'd say it's definitely like fundamentally the basis of his entire body of work and everything he's ever done. And it was like, I will say too, what I like about it is I feel like he did have so much creative freedom, whereas so many people in that part in their career don't. So I guess that's where I really see where it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah,
you convinced me.
I even think that like the album in and of itself is the culmination of that hero's journey. And he kind of talks about it throughout the record. He talks about like how, like where he came from and where he got to. Cause like Rodeo in and of itself, and I'll mention this later, is like talking about fame.
Yeah.
And so like, but you can't talk about fame without talking about the drastic juxtaposition between like not fame. And so I think like that's what makes this record his most compelling as well, because like everything after it is post-fame, and post-fame is boring, as we've learned with Drake. Drake is so fucking boring because he's been so famous for so fucking long. He has nothing to talk about.
Yeah, that's true, man.
And so that's like why like Astroworld and like Utopia are all good and have hits in their own right, but it is not as compelling is because it's lacking that sort of archetype of the hero's journey of like started somewhere, became a changed person on the other side. And that's like what makes this record compelling. Yeah.
No, definitely started from the bottom. Now he's here.
Right. And people like those records.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's good. It's good shit. I think that one of the other things just you gotta love is whenever you see he's also stayed very true to himself this whole time, which is even cooler. But I would like to see Drake or any of these other rappers that are just like, you're just doing rap. That's all you're doing. Like we watch T.I. go off and do what he does now. Yeah. We watch Jay-Z go off and do what they did now once they stopped having real perspective on shit. Yeah. You know, I mean, well, T.I. and his tragic incident, actually, that sucked. But there was that whole thing, yeah. But I mean, you know, the point is you're right. That's what okay, cool. All right. Hit. Yeah. There it is. All right.
God, I'm so good at this.
Yeah, you're so good.
Let me join a very niche debate team.
You're so good at this, dude. Yeah.
I'm so good at this. Cool. Are you ready for our second mini game? Hopefully this one's a little more fun.
Let's do it.
This one's a little more stupid.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I love stupid.
So we've already talked about 3500 and 2 Chainz has the most killer verse ever. Like I'm telling you, it's one of my pedestal points. I'm gonna circle back to it.
It's like, so good, dude.
It's so good. 2 Chainz verse on that song is so hard, which brings me to the game. What's harder, 2 Chainz' verse in 3500 or? And so that is the premise of this game. What's harder? So, Tyler, what's harder, 2 Chainz' verse in 3500 or a rock?
I'd like to say 2 Chainz' verse.
2 Chainz' verse is a lot harder than
it is
than a rock.
Much harder, than a rock.
Yeah, it is. God, it's hard. It's diamond, baby.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna get smacked in the head by 15 rocks when I hear him say that "Call me titty boy," but whatever.
No, that's not even
the sports bra thing, though. Dude, that line made me laugh so hard, though.
I'll get into my favorite line.
We can go down that path. It sounds perfect.
All right, the next one. What's harder, 2 Chainz verse in 3500 or engaging in capitalism?
I'm going to go with engaging in capitalism.
It's incredibly hard. Every day I wake up and it's a constant torture.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's so hard.
You and I live in a very similar world, my friend. It is.
Engaging in capitalism.
It's rough. Yeah.
So hard.
Yeah. Sorry about that, 2 Chainz.
All right, and the last one, just as silly. What's harder, 2 Chainz' verse in 3500 or remaining present when a good song is playing in the background while your friend is talking to you about a hard time they're going through?
I'm going to go with 2 Chainz' verse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
2 Chainz' verse is harder than that?
Yeah, that's clever because here's the deal. If that was the song playing in the background, I just had to say, listen, I know you're going through a hard time, but you want to feel better? Listen to 2 Chainz' verse in 3500. Yeah.
I would say generally, from my personal perspective, it is much harder to remain present when a good song is playing in the bar while your friend is trying to tell you he's going through a hard time. Yeah, it is incredibly difficult for me to do. I have told them to stop.
Yeah.
I'm like, pause.
Yeah.
Listen. All right, continue.
Yeah.
Or I'll be like, hey, did you know that The Strokes is playing right now?
That's wild, dude. Oh my God.
I am bad for that shit.
I can imagine.
I'm terrible for that shit.
What if the thing that was so challenging was just like, oh, I'm going through a hard time. My dad just had a stroke, and then how much harder would it become at that point?
I'm like, well, speaking of the Strokes.
Yeah.
I mean, don't blame me. You brought it up, man.
I can relate. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is your fault.
This is your fault. I'm being a dick. All right.
Yeah.
This is your fault.
Yeah.
I love a good victim shame.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's so good.
No, same. Isn't that what we're doing here?
Oh, yeah.
No, it's not. Okay,
No.
Sorry. I remember now. Pullman Club.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, man. Well, let's go.
All right.
Good mini game.
Thank
I
you.
like that mini game.
Thank you. Yes.
That made me
happy.
happy.
With that one.
Yeah.
Because it was silly.
It was very silly.
It's a work in progress here at the Spin Club, guys.
It was perfect.
Cool. So are you ready to get into our next section, On a Pedestal, where we talk about 3 things we loved from this record?
Yup.
Cool. Would you like to go first?
Sure. Well, I mean, this is going to just we can keep this like even shorter on my side because my biggest highlight for this was what we talked about before, the entourage, the all-star ensemble that he brought on.
Yeah.
And like I just loved every guest on there, and I really enjoyed I did enjoy Piss on Your Grave.
Okay.
Just because it's so excessive.
Yeah.
And it has some of the dumbest lines I've ever heard, and it's my favorite thing ever.
I use your face as a urinal.
Yeah, dude. Exactly. It's just crazy shit.
Although, as an interesting aside, I work with a lot of European people, and I was recently brought into the conversation that it is pronounced urinal in London.
Okay. I've never heard anything more incorrect that they do.
Yeah, that was tough. I wasn't going to interrupt the meeting.
I gave them aluminium, but let's not talk about urinals.
Yeah, I'm like, I use your face as a urinal. It doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work. And I quite frankly now am not going to get British Kanye out of my head.
American Kanye was enough.
Oh, man, that's great. But yeah, it was a huge deal. I also, one of my favorite things, and this is crazy. Like one of my favorite songs off the album, like is "Wasted," because I don't care what anybody says. Juicy J is the shit.
Yeah, that one never gravitated to me.
Yeah,
like I'm able to listen to it and be like, this is good, but it's not one that I like gravitated towards as like a total banger.
Yeah,
because like you're not alone in that take.
Yeah,
there's like a lot of people that are like, this song rules, and I'm like, what's wrong with me? is ultimately where I go, where I'm like, why didn't this hit?
It's hard because when I first heard it, I was like, oh God. I actually skipped it a lot because I just didn't want to hear Juicy J.
Oh sure.
I think that whenever I've heard him feature on any other song, I'm just like, this guy's awful. It's the same exact thing over and over again, and I can't help but go back to Dark Horse by Katy Perry when he's on that thing. It's a terrible feature. Of all the features, that's his worst thing.
Song.
It's a bad song, but I mean, let's just talk about how he somehow made a bad song worse. And then he came on this, and he's just hard throughout the whole thing. And then plus, I do like the sample of Pimp C, so let's just say that Pimp C was also on this. R.I.P. Bye. But yeah, it's that's it. I mean, I feel like it shows that he like had these great friends, and he deserves them, and he like kept up with them, showed them up a couple of times. It was really cool. So
yeah, I agree. The long list of really rad features, and again, we already talked about it. Like my take on how intentional they were. So, yeah, I agree.
Super meticulous. It's
super
perfect.
Great. It's nice to see when features are intentional, and he had a lot of songs that were like just by his lonesome, which is I think is important on a record. Sometimes I think the balance of features was really well done as well.
I mean, Antidote was fantastic for that reason.
Right.
Because he was the only one on it doing that thing he does.
Yeah, they did not feel like a crutch. It was additive, not like supportive.
Like, yeah, 100%.
And so, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so many features on there, too, that weren't even named. Like, we can just talk about, like, T.I. on every other song, just doing
spoken word, baby.
T.I. Shakespeare, you know?
Well, it's part of that progressive element of the album, right? Like, because it's storytelling, and they needed like a spoken word guy to kind of move the story along. So I think that's part of the progressive element of it.
For sure, man. For sure. Love it.
My first thing was 3500.
Yeah,
that song fucking rules.
It's one of the best songs ever to me.
I'll try to get into some of the stuff we haven't already mentioned. Because we already mentioned that it's one of my favorite 2 Chainz verse ever. So we already did that. It's so hard.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's so good. He's like, I was born with a mean mug, drinking breast milk, got a lean cup. Like, God, that line rocks so hard.
I feel like every time anybody on that album mentioned lean in general, Juicy J poured purple over ice, call it turtle time. I was like, let's go, dude.
Yeah, the punchline surrounding lean this time around, they rival my own.
Yeah, I love it.
I even mentioned lean in my act.
Yeah, it's perfect. Oh, it's amazing. Yeah.
But the other parts I loved about it were a little more broad. Like, I loved the bold move of making an 8-minute song the single. Like, 3500 was one of the first songs he released off of Rodeo, and I was like, so this 8-minute banger is what you're putting out there. All right. I was watching an old Anthony Fantano video, like his old review of it, and he was so sus of the record because of that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm sure his opinions changed with time, but like at the time it came out, it must have been crazy.
Yeah.
An 8-minute, multi-dimensional, weird, like super long outro song as your radio single. All right.
Yeah.
But granted, that verse is still killer.
It really is. And I feel like a lot of the length on it, though, too, also is the same as the hook, which I don't want to ever stop when it's playing.
Yeah, well, like 3500 for the coat is talking about how Kim Kardashian bought Northwest a $3,500 coat at the age of 2.
That shit killed me. It's just like, I like that he's just like, let's just talk about that flex real quick, And it's more shout outs still, more shout out to Kanye. Hell yeah, let's go. But yeah,
I will say I've misheard that lyric for so long, where I thought he was saying 3,500 for the coke, which also wouldn't be wrong.
Yeah,
I was like, not that I know the pricing index of cocaine, but like,
in this economy, it's tough these days, my guy.
Tough.
Yeah,
all right, thank you.
It's rough. Yeah.
But yeah, and finally about 3500 is like the super group of people that produced this beat truly shines through. Like it's just immaculate.
Yeah. No, truly it is.
And so 3500 rules. That's my first pedestal. What's your second?
Well, that's a good point into the production.
Okay.
I am, as a music producer and creator myself, I just can't get enough of it because it's so experimental and wild for somebody's like first album, like real debut to come out. And he took a lot of liberties, and like 3500 is a good example of production as well, where it's almost intentionally shitty transitions of the music itself. Like when it goes back into the hook after kind of being gentle for the verse.
Yeah,
especially Future's verse, because he's such a soft-spoken guy
on really that gentle, on that
album.
Isn't it? Yeah.
And then it goes back into that, and I was like, hell yeah, let's go. And then all the way, 90210 is incredible. I already don't know why I couldn't finish it as every single time I wanted to do it, but I had to keep going back and listen to it in segments. The last song, like the whole outro track for it in general is wild.
The
to
outro
me.
track for the album. Yeah, okay.
It's nice, but it's just like it is an outro track.
It is.
Yeah.
I talk about that as an honest bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a roast of that because like, oh man, all right, I gotta wait. But
we'll hit that. Yeah, but I mean the production work and how experimental it is, and that's what I mean. It brings me back to like A$AP Rocky at that time when he first came out, and maybe that's probably a good reason why he shouldn't have been on there in general because they're too similar.
Yeah.
For that thing. So yeah, but I also really enjoyed just so much homage paid to Houston rappers.
Yeah.
Specifically, we've got like fucking Pimp C and Bun B, Underground Kings. Let's go on
Yeah.
that. So much of that smattered throughout just the production in general.
Yeah.
Which was just beautiful.
That does rule. That's something I'm actually not that hip to. So like as a younger listener, and like just someone who wasn't, guys, I know I'm going to tell on myself here for a second.
Let's do it.
I'm going to tell on myself, but I did not actually grow up listening to Houston rap here in Cincinnati, Ohio.
You didn't?
As a teen. I know.
Oh my God.
I didn't do it. So unfortunately, Pimp C was off my radar. It was not the Click 5 and their dope track that I can't remember right now, but that was, I think, the first song I bought from the iTunes music store was the song by the Click 5.
Okay.
I'll intercut 3 seconds of it right here.
That's what we need
in the edit.
Oh my God, because if anybody doesn't even know what you're talking about there, we gotta have those moments. But I mean, yeah, that Houston rap, man, let's go. Oh man, cool. What's your number 2? I gotta hear this.
All right, my number 2 was the song 90210.
Okay.
I know you threw it a tiny bit of shade when we were talking about it. In comparison to Bohemian Rhapsody, I understand.
Yeah, in comparison, yes.
So this point is actually kind of interesting to say after I just went on about talking about how 3500 is an 8-minute, miracle. It's like this one's like a rare trap ballad where it is like an equally long story being told.
Yeah, true.
To trap beats. That rules.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah,
that's
that
good.
rules.
That is good. That is good.
The sample he uses is so good. Like getting hooked on feeling numb. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah, put that shit in my veins.
Yeah.
Especially like if you've ever struggled with any sort of vice when you're going through hard times, like
oh yeah,
that will resonate so deeply with you.
Yeah.
And then finally, it's like clearly the flagship song off of the album because the music video uses the same album art action figure. Yeah. So I think it was meant to intentionally be like the cornerstone of the record. Yeah. And I agree, like with my own take. Surprising.
I agree with myself.
I agree with this note I wrote earlier. Fuck, I'm good at this.
Full of shit. Oh wait, we're not in the game.
Damn it.
Yeah.
But no, it's like it's clear to me that song meant a lot to Travis as far as like this is like a very probably the most vulnerable we're gonna get on a trap album. Yeah. And so I think like he talks about like his grandma on it, and like he talks about like just like again I can't get that sort of like sample hook out of my head. Yeah.
I can buy into that. I'd say that there are some weirdly like introspective personal reasons why I just struggled with it in general. Sure. And I have no filter or shame on this. I always get weirded out when I listen to any musical artist talk about their love for their family and how much they've supported them. Maybe it's envy. Yeah. Check out Sins and Virtues. Maybe it's envy. It could be. And I don't really know what that could be. Maybe it's just like, but I did see, like, I like to I went ahead before this. I perused the Google reviews because I wanted to see what the 14-year-olds are saying about it. It is, yeah, which is just punishing. 14-year-olds. Very punishing. You know what I mean? But one kid. And we'll get into this even more when we start talking about some other segments, is he very exclusively related to that song, saying how much it was like, I wake up every day and I think about 90210, and the first time I saw him was the greatest day of my life, and I was screaming 90210's lyrics at the top of my lungs because it motivates him so much. And I was like, okay,
I don't know, man,
but shut up.
So it's hard because like I try to empathize with the 14-year-old.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
Let me try and empathize with the 14-year-old.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Well, I'm trying to think about what I was listening to most at 14, and like I think it was
Linkin Park.
No, not Linkin Park. I skewed more Blink-182.
Okay, fair point.
Like self-titled era Blink-182. Like trying not to think of their now era as a 14-year-old me. Please don't. But like the Sum 41s and like the sort of like outcasty pop punky type bands.
Yeah, sure.
And I think like generationally, I'm sure there's someone who was 30 at the time that I was 14, and they're like, "This song's trash," and I'm like, "No, it speaks to me."
Yeah, 100%.
But I do have a hard time. Like, I understand you, and I do have a hard time being like, he's talking about doing drugs in Hollywood.
Exactly.
And you're finding this motivating.
Yeah.
Motivating how? Like.
Yeah, talk to me about that, actually,
like
kid.
Looking for that alley.
Can I comment on a Google review that was from 3 years ago? When you were 3 years younger, are you alive now?
Yeah.
Little guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know, because I think it does. Like, so he probably empathizes with the vibe of the song.
I can see that. I do.
Because, like, there's no way. Because, like, I empathize with the vibes of most of the songs that I was listening to. It was definitely not, like, the lyrics. It wasn't until I got older and started writing more papers in English where I started to, like, be able to formulate opinions on the prose of a song as opposed to just the vibe. And so I think, that 14-year-old is likely just, like, I like the stark contrast between the synths and then the nice lady singing. Yeah. Because that is what it's like to have hormones for the first time.
All right. Yeah. No, you're exactly correct about all this. Because I mean, like from my perspective, and I say correct, your opinion is a fact now.
Thank
okay?
you.
And that's just what's going on because
my ego's loving this.
Yeah, we're having a great time. Yeah. What did I tell you? I'm the king of gassing people up. Let's do it. But no, it's wild because empathizing with the 14-year-old. Sure. Yeah, I get it. And he's probably doing great in life because of 90210. He probably got A's in math.
Yeah, there's no way.
and got into vocational school, dude. Let's do it.
The trades are paying more than our jobs right now. All right.
That's probably why he's doing so well because of 90210.
Yeah.
He's a contractor in Beverly Hills.
Oh.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. What's your third one?
I think that I already mentioned it now that I'm reading my third one. It's this big shout out to like the old rap and paying so much respect to it. Yeah. I just still like I cannot like I can expand on this a tiny bit where it's just I've never heard in modern music, especially trap music, of like the top 40 stuff, the word trill used so wonderfully and so often. How many times did they say it in 3500?
Oh, a billion.
69 times. That's hilarious.
Did you actually look that up?
I did. No, I looked at the lyrics and I did Control F and I typed in trill.
Sure.
Let's be real.
Yeah,
I didn't count them all. I'm not a psycho.
Yeah.
I'm not that trill for real. But I love the I just that word was popularized again. Bun B and Pimp C made it their thing. And I mean it's like in Wasted. It's just like trill again, let's go. And it's just like and it makes me want to say it way too much as well.
I think it's all the homages I think so important to this record because he knew he was taking a swing and just wanted to make sure he wasn't leaving them behind or shitting on them. Yeah. Because I think a lot of folks, like when you take hard left turns in any art, like you're like, I'm taking a piece of this thing and I'm running in a different direction with it. I think there is a lot of like old heads that are like, what the fuck? You know, like, cause like I loved this thing. And I think he was so mindful of how big of a swing he was taking. Yeah. That like, he was like, no, I need to bring people along with me to make sure that they know I'm doing this respectfully as a growth opportunity, not necessarily as a steal your shit and make it into garbage. Like, So I think that's probably one of my more generous takes.
It's cool. No, I get it.
Of like generous of him as an artist, but like yeah, I think it's cool. Like homage is really important to this record because of how different it was.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was doing it too. Even his features were paying a lot of homage to tons of other people. It's like so much shout out word to so many, you know.
Which
and
is
I love
so
that.
great because I love the concept of "Come on, gang, we're all going."
That's the best part about hip hop culture in general is it's so inclusive and wonderful. It's beautiful. Like believe it or not, it is so great.
Yeah. I know it can not be, but like it's like same with like any like our comedy scene too. Our comedy scene a lot of times like are like, come on gang, like let's go, like this is an inclusive place, and like unless you're being a dick like, outright, 100%. You know, and like same in rap, like you know, like it's inclusive until you're the problem.
Oh yeah, it really is. It really is wild. But yeah, all right, let's go. You have a third one, right?
I do.
Yeah, that I didn't already do.
My last one is the song "I Can Tell."
Okay.
That like I usually try to come up with one of my pedestals is like the song that I think is like the sleeper hit, or the one that isn't talked about like enough, or the one that like just kind of flies under the radar. And I think "I Can Tell" is one of those.
Okay.
And it's really simple. It's just like it's an undermentioned banger. It's not one of the one on mind when this like record pops up, but it's so fun. Like it's so big.
Yeah.
I have right now a 2011 Toyota Prius. And I bought it extremely like used.
Okay.
And because I bought it as used as I did, it's like one of the higher end models of like the year 2011. But I bought it so used that it was cheap. And like so it has like a solid stereo in it.
Okay.
Because it was like the higher end at the time when it was in production.
Yeah.
This song will rattle my license plate off.
Amazing.
Like it is so fun. It's so immersive.
Yeah.
And there's it has not a beat switch up, but a vocal switch up, or like an ad lib at one point where like I can't even tell you what the words are because like I haven't looked them up. I just vibes only.
Yeah, vibes only.
Vibes only. Where it's like and I'm like, that's so cool. Like I don't know what it is, but I love it.
I know what you're talking about. You should look it up. I did because I went through the lyrics in every song because I just wanted to make sure how many times the word tro was said, obviously. But like when the ad libs in the parentheses are so funny. Yeah. That it's like one's like do 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 do, and it's like when it's written out, it's even better, dude. Yeah. Let's go.
No, the bass line in that song is nuts.
It is hard,
like
man.
The big swings from like they were really pushing the what's the wheel on the side of the piano on like production instruments?
Little mod wheel.
Yeah. They were really just using that thing. Just taking that like it rules.
That's
it's
a fun tool.
Loud.
Yeah, it's a fun tool to ruin your day and your ears on accident. You don't know what it does. Mm-hmm. Shout out to 21-year-old Tyler. Anyway. That's tight, man.
That's my last one. It's
okay.
Just like the undermentioned. It's not like it's unmentioned, like, but it's. I think it's like I don't know. I think people should enjoy this one more.
Undermentioned and a maximalist song.
Oh, truly?
Yeah.
Wow, you really tied it back together.
Yeah, well, some callbacks are a part of the biz, right? Yeah.
Part of the biz, baby. God, we're so good at this. God, no one's bringing me down today.
Both barrels.
All right, let's move it on. On a spit, do you got some roast for me, Tyler?
Yeah, I got a couple, man. I just really. Some of the songs have some of the most idiotic lines ever, and I love them, and I hate them at the same time. None of them I hate straight up, except for one. And his first one here, I'ma make him take the fall like August.
I love that.
In the first song. Listen,
rocks.
I was born in August. The summer.
Take the
Travis. Fall. Yeah. I mean, it's a good line. Choose another month. It doesn't go as well with everything else, and it didn't rhyme previously. I get it. Maybe do another verse. I don't know. I just can't.
I don't know how to fix that one.
Yeah,
I also don't know how to be like.
Make him take the fall like October. That doesn't really flow.
We'll take the fall, but like October is like. Is fall like it is fall
exactly.
So like I don't understand. Take the fall like August, like what are we stealing like are we like stealing the fall?
No, he's talking about
or like the beginning of fall.
He was like maybe I'm not looking enough into this. Maybe Travis Scott is infinitely deeper than me. He is a zillionaire.
Dude, I'll go outside and ask a 14-year-old right now, and he'll tell you that shit to your face.
So, hey, kid.
Yeah. Hey, kid, is Travis Scott deeper than me? He's like, fuck yeah, he is. Tool.
Yeah. And then at that point, I'll just,
He'll be like, hey, man, fuck your jacket. And I'm like, ah.
It's like, it's a shirt. I love it. Yeah. So, I mean, and then there's like other ones. Pour that purple over ice. Call it turtle time. No, loved it and hated it.
Yeah.
Want to know my dick longer than a Pringle box. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And shut up.
It's great.
Because it's like, so I've said this openly all the time. I have like weird OCD. So there's like rules. Hey man, it's the only mental health problem I have. Doing great, guys. So when it's like, it's a tube. It's not a box. Stop calling it that. It's a cylinder.
Made of cardboard.
Yeah, I get it, but cylinder. So there's that. Young and free and wilding out. Order more kidneys. What the fuck?
Are we talking about beans?
No idea what he's talking about there. Probably dehydration.
What if he was talking about beans?
If he was talking about beans, I'm going to be happy. I did love when Kanye popped off with his "You Not Entertained." We'll just blow by that one. But here's the biggest one. Mm-hmm. Young Thug saying, "Pull down your pants. I want crack."
Oh, there you go. Short, sweet, to the point.
Short, sweet, to the point. Shut the fuck up. That line is insane, and I loved it so much.
Right, it's insane. It's so open-ended, too, because my imagination's running wild. Is he talking about butt?
Yeah, exactly.
Is he talking about pussy?
Yeah.
Is he talking about crack that's been smuggled in through the butt? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's a good point. Multifaceted and very layered. Yeah. It's beautiful, though. Yeah. All right. That's my big thing, just a roast, and that was my longest roast, so no worries.
My first one is more of a critique than a roast.
Let's go.
It is he fumbled the bag on Never Catch Me. Never Catch Me is the last song on the record. He absolutely fumbled the bag on that song by 100% misunderstanding what he had in his hands. Like, I said, it's like he ran into the end zone and went to spike the ball and realized it was a shoe.
That's a great one, dude. Oh man, you're gonna have to fucking compress my laugh. By the way, I'm the second loudest in the room next to John Holmes. By the way, so
yeah, man, like he misunderstood what made that song good, and then absolutely did nothing with it. Like what makes that song so good is the beat, and he could have very easily showcased the beat as the chorus, but instead decided to like meander around it like an asshole. And I was like. And it seemed celebratory in a way. And I was like, why are you celebrating your touchdown with a shoe just now? Like, this is so terrible.
Your touchdown with his shoe is going to be an image in my mind for the rest of my life. Because also, Travis Scott is a goofy-looking dude.
Yeah.
So imagining him just spiking down a shoe in the end zone
during
the Super Bowl.
Yeah, everyone's watching the other team celebrate. He's like, why is everyone else celebrating? I just got a touchdown.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, my God. I love that. Cool.
All right, you got a second one?
Oh, yeah. No, I do. Right. Travis Scott's fan base, dude, insufferable.
Oh, truly?
Yeah, truly. I mean, we're in this room, but it's just because I'm better than everybody, I guess.
That's usually my case as well.
Yeah, it's I'm becoming more of a boomer every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, back in my day in 2016, but when somebody calls an album like Rodeo, don't get me wrong, incredible album, loved it, but don't call it the best trap album of the decade in the year 2016, please.
Yeah.
First of all, it was 2016, dude. Stop. But then like the whole attitude of, well, it saved my life. How? And from what?
It's interesting that they felt seen by this record.
I will give it that.
It's fascinating. Like I would want to dive into that more. Like, how are you felt seen by this? That's because it's so personal to Travis Scott and just becoming super duper famous. Like that's like it's fascinating to me that like your average 14-year-old from suburban wherever is like, yeah, this guy gets me.
And listen to me.
This guy gets me. I feel really heard right now.
Exactly. And it's the ones that are saying that though so loudly are, the ones that are like, I mean, the ones that just have never been in Travis Scott's shoes in their entire life. But I mean, I do appreciate it. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's like this whole thing. So watch this as the episode that pops off. Because your comment section gets filled with a bunch of people hating me for saying that. It's just a bunch of pissed off 14-year-olds.
Well, they're about to get more angry.
Let's go.
This is a good, well, maybe not angry because it might go over their heads because they are 14. Yeah. But it's a good transition into my roast of, in the same vein, is like, this album is Gen Z's infinite jest.
You're so good at these, by the way, man. You're so good at these things. Like writing like a solid roast like that. That's amazing. Go on.
Yeah, it's Gen Z's infinite jest. Like, it is a little long. It is a little overblown.
Yeah.
It is incredibly self-indulgent.
Yeah.
And anyone who listens to it thinks they've changed. Like,
yeah. No, that's so true.
And David Foster Wallace made good points, at least in his like outside of Infinite Jest. But again, Infinite Jest was so self-indulgent and like insanely long. Yeah. And just like meandering.
Okay.
But like, again, like the people who read it think they're hot fucking shit for having an opinion on that book. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's similar with the 14-year-olds. Like, anyone like. Pretty soon, like, because like you used to be able to make the joke, like, if you walk into a dude's bedroom and he has a copy of Infinite Jest on his nightstand, get out. I have the same, like, if you walk into somebody's house and they have like Rodeo on the wall, like in their bedroom, get out.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. It's interesting hearing that from you of all people, because anything being meandering, you do know.
That I'm incredibly meandering.
No, not that you're meandering.
No, I
was going to say...
I'm also self-indulgent. I've read my own journal entries before, dude. They're crazy.
What if I just got on here, just like fucking slam you like that, throw the mic across the room and leave? Like, been wanting to say this to you for a while now.
The feedback I get on my stand-up jokes are get to the point.
Hey, remember that Cage the Elephant bit?
Get to the point.
Oh, it was good. No, you were the one. I didn't even know that it was meandering until you called that out. I was like, I was into it, though, because I'm like, I like this stuff. I was like, yeah, this is good. This is good content. And I was like, wait a minute. We're at stand-up. Oh, my bad. Yeah. But I was going to say mostly because you know meandering really well, not because of you. You host an open mic.
Yeah.
There's nothing more meandering. And on your flyer, it says, first-timers welcome.
Yep.
I mean, good for you. That's really sweet and so welcoming. And first-timers got to have their chance. We were all first-timers. Yeah. I'm still a first-timer, it feels like, even though I've been doing it for only a year. Mm-hmm. It was like that. But, dude.
Yep.
Remember Genesis?
Yeah. I know. I know about meandering. Yeah. It's true. I see a lot of people produce a lot of things, and I have a very wild exposure to the inner psyche of not well people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, comedy is not therapy, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead and get that out there. That's a good point. Comedy is not therapy. It can help. It is not a good supplement for therapy. It's
replacement for therapy. It's a good supplement for therapy.
Good supplement, terrible replacement.
Try comedy. Go to therapy, though.
Yeah, do both. I don't see the problem.
Do both.
I don't see the problem with doing both.
Yeah,
I've gotten great material from my therapist.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah. All right, cool. That's a good one, man. That's a really good one.
You have a last one?
Travis Scott's ad-libs and anecdote, dude, just in general. Nothing more surprising in the world to this guy. Spent my pay on a weekend. Oh, my God! The way he said that sent me into space. But even right before that, it was, what did he say? Party on a Monday, and he goes, he said, oh my God, I'm already blanking out on it. He goes,
do it all again on Sunday.
Yeah, but that was like so much fun. I was like, dude, I love the toddler in the background.
Yeah, I've actually forgotten about those ad libs. I used to make fun of them when the album came out.
Yeah,
it was like, oh my God.
It was my favorite thing though about the song. Was the ad libs because it lets me do it.
I feel like I've tuned them out. Yeah, like because like even on my listen this last time as preparing for this, like they did not register with me. I've just been like zeroed in on other things. That's funny.
I get it. No, that's great. Yeah, I want to start doing that, and I just want to ask people about their day, and then do Travis Scott ad libs.
Yeah.
On every line that they say.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
so much fun.
If anyone asks me how I'm doing at the B list, so much fun.
You know what? You're gonna hear me say it at the next one. I'm gonna just be like, there you go. I got to come to a B list. Anyway, that's my last one. Go off.
All right. My last one is, do you think Kanye was foreshadowing his own career and pissing your grave? Because right now he's literally living pissing on the grave of his own career.
Oh, my God. That's incredible. Because that's so true. Yeah, that was another part of those lines. Is you not entertained while referencing pissing on adults and maybe children? He said their families.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. That is so he
was a Robert Kelly fan.
Yeah, he peed on them. Yeah, good. He peed on them, then he peed on himself and peed on his career. That's a fucking awesome diss, dude. I love that.
Yeah.
A designed diss.
Yeah,
very good.
His own career got the old golden shower from your boy.
Yeah, like we're talking like definitely dehydrated. That's what he meant by more kidneys. He was telling it was foreshadowing.
Yeah,
the foreshadowing.
Oh,
got
wow.
it. More kidneys.
God, so deep. There's a 14-year-old out there that beat you to it though. That's the crazy thing.
100%.
That's the crazy thing. There's a 14-year-old out there who's like, yeah, I had that take 8 years ago.
Yeah, buddy. Like, oh God. Well, God damn it. Yes, I need to get on the internet more for my health. All right, cool. I love those. Those were my favorite disses ever of an album.
Hell yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you. You as well. You did it. You came prepared. We love it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. The email was very serious. I'm just kidding.
The email is long. If you ever come on the Full Spin Club, you're going to find out the onboarding email is a word vomit of my own making.
There's no way you can get confused, though.
Yeah,
so
that's the point.
Yeah.
People like being prepped for things like this.
Oh, yeah. Nothing worse than you bringing somebody on your show and they're like, oh, we're doing rodeo? Sorry.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I just want to avoid dead air.
Yeah.
It's hard to edit.
It is. It is.
So if you just do a little bit of prep, you have less dead air, I'd work less hard.
Yeah, there you go. Be blessed, my child. I love that. All right.
All right, man. On to our final section, On a Turntable.
Let's do it.
These are the questions I sent you ahead of time, and I'll read them out for the fine folks who have made it this far in the video. Congratulations. If you made it this far, give it a like, dude. God, it's so helpful. Like, it's actually crazy how helpful likes are to getting view bumps. It's wild. Comments also helpful, but frankly, dude, the like just puts you right in the algorithm. It rules.
Like it. Share it with your friends. Tell everybody. Word of mouth. Get a dynamic IP address. Run it on Google Chrome on repeat over and over and over again.
Wow, this is oddly specific. Why haven't you done this for me? Don't tell me you have the map to treasure and being like, not you though. This isn't for you.
Yeah, no, this isn't for me. No, I would never do that. Just kidding. I did that in my MySpace days to rip up my plays in my old band.
Oh, nice.
There you go. Anyway.
The 14-year-old's going to have a field day with you after that sentence.
Yeah, probably. Fucking old-ass bitch.
Oh, yeah. Old head in his MySpace.
Dude, yeah, some guy tried to diss me because I made fun of him one time, and he goes, yo, you got your AARP card? And I was like, here we go, dude. And he just goes, because you look old as fuck, and then left. And then Cat West, shout out Cat West, said, did you chat GPT that insult? And I died.
That rules.
Yeah, much love. All right, go on. On a turntable, sorry.
On a turntable, baby. All right, so the first question that I sent to you was, to me, the rodeo seems to represent the concept of fame and celebrity, and the album in and of itself represents coping with the rodeo. What is your rodeo, and what story comes to mind when you think about coping with your rodeo?
I loved this question so much because it was like, in true little that I know about you so far, I feel like this is just the most David Stewart of questions. It's like, I want to hear what you have to say about your life and your success or failure, which is amazing. You're gonna be you're great. Yeah. So my rodeo, and you can relate to this one. I'd say working in the tech space. Definitely challenging as somebody who's not a workaholic.
Sure.
I don't want to be on all day and all night, and I feel like I battle with that with my coworkers all the time. But it also comes into this main point of like discovering that part of like my career. I don't have a college degree.
Yeah.
I worked my way into this, and now that I'm here, I'm like, this is so wild, and it's probably because I don't have a college degree is why I'm able to balance with that, with the workaholic nature of things.
Right.
And then like going into like comedy and stuff like that too, on the flip side of that, trying to find myself in this scene, do well, improve, get better, make friends, do the right things that we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
I have such a hard time with like trying to encourage myself as much as I encourage others in the same light, but also trying to stay away from like, oh yeah, there's nothing better than the high of that joke landed at an open mic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is because it's so trivial and menial, but you can get a fucking head on you instantly. Like, oh yeah, I don't have to work at this.
Yeah.
I'm doing great. No improvement needed. Hell yeah. And then a more established comedian says, yeah, man, you bombed. It sucks, doesn't it?
Nah, man, dude, it's the good set for me.
Yeah, I mean,
good set, fist bump. That means you did it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
It's not a good set. It means, hey, man, you got up there and did it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's incredible. But I mean, breaking into any community creatively and anything you are passionate about, it's this constant ebb and flow of I'm amazing or I'm not.
Yeah.
And if you're anybody worth their weight in anything you're trying,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you're at that point where it's like, this is too much when you get good, and then you want to be in a celebrity status. And I think this rodeo, coming full circle,
Mm-hmm.
is a good reminder of like, dude, it is hard.
Yeah.
It is insane. It is a circus show. It's a rodeo.
Yeah.
You have to wrangle impossible things to wrangle that shouldn't even be wrangled.
Right.
I shouldn't have control over a fucking monster bull, you know? I shouldn't, but I'm going to try, and because that's what everybody tells me to. So I'm going to not go to college. I'm going to work in the tech space. I'm going to not be funny. I'm going to get in the comedy.
Yeah.
You know, it's like these constant things of like who I am. So yeah.
Yeah. I hear you. I also work in the tech space. You already mentioned that. I also don't have a college degree. I worked hard to get it there, and just like I took a boot camp and like have been what I tell myself I'm lying. Like when I was like, I got in there and I just lied really good.
Nice,
but it turns
dude.
out when you lie really good, you just kind of know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, imposter syndrome is big, and I hear you on that. It's big there. I also agree that like getting into comedy is a circus.
Mm-hmm.
It's a circus. It's so multifaceted, and no one gives it credit for like being as like weird and have like the 6,000 strings attached to it as it does.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. Yeah, all of your points are very valid. That makes sense.
Did we just become best friends, by the way? Yeah. Let's go. There it is. All right.
What's like your coping strategy for that then?
It is about like just trying to find the balance between the two ends of the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like you can easily trick yourself into having this inflated sense of ego, which will shatter very easily. It's so fragile. And then that downside where you feel like you're nothing, it's remembering just those simple things of I'm going to fail the first time, and every time is my first time technically.
Right.
It is. It's my first time doing this today, and those kinds of things. And also having this recognition that, let's just say Travis Scott in this album, we said it before 1,000 times already, he brought his entourage on this, and people that know more than him and that are better at this than him even came on, and he didn't try to outshine anybody. Nobody tried to outshine him. It was just a conglomerate of homies, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I latch on to the idea that I know so many people know more than me, and I thirst for that knowledge, that validation, that criticism, that feedback, everything I can get from those that know more than me. Even if they're worse than me at this, they still could be better at me than this other tiny part of it.
Right.
Which is amazing. So
yeah, it's crazy, the coping strategy. So it's just figuring out your way to make it sustainable.
Exactly.
That kind of thing. Yeah.
It really is. It's just remembering that I'm not like alone, and I have the support. I just have to know where to go, and I'm totally capable of finding that.
Yeah.
And I can balance it without getting a big head and a fragile ego, and I can also do it without feeling like shit about myself, wrangling a beast that's not meant to be wrangled.
I think also just understanding that you're going to have to get comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing about stand-up where I'm like, yeah, I'm 100% comfortable all the time. In fact, it is one of the most difficult things I do.
It's really hard,
like,
dude.
It's hard, and it's hard when you don't feel like doing it and doing it anyway. It's hard when a joke doesn't land your way. It's disappointing. It's hard when a joke does go your way and it's a joke you don't like.
Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, like now I got to deal with like keeping that in the back pocket. Do I want to continue doing this even though it brings me sadness, or do I throw it away and hope to make something better?
Mm-hmm.
Just the thousands of like decisions that you make as a creative type in this space. It's crazy.
It really is.
So yeah, like coping as far as being able to, find a way to be uncomfortable as long as possible.
Yeah.
And that's that. It's nuts.
It truly is.
My rodeo is similar.
Yeah.
I was like, my life right now, for a long time, my life did not feel rodeo-ish, despite doing things that people would think are rodeo-ish.
Okay.
So when I was freshly 20 and had the biggest head of my entire life, I moved to LA.
Okay, ego head. Like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I thought you meant like big head of
life.
your entire life. I was like, wow.
No, like big
it's
ego
a normal
head.
sized head. Yeah, no, go on.
Biggest head of my entire life, moved to LA, and like everyone, like even like Travis Scott, part of his rodeo story is like moving to LA, right?
Yeah.
And like, dude, I was the least productive man alive out there. Because I got out there and was scared for 8 years.
Jeez.
Like, and nervous, or like I did some things, but I did not grind. Like everyone moves out there and grinds. I did not. I was like timid, and like I did the Second City program and like was doing okay with improv and like doing all the things like that. But like eventually, like it was just so intimidating, and I was so young and I had no idea what was going on out there. But then like fast forward to now, I'm 30 and I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I've rejoined the Cincinnati stand-up scene.
Yeah.
And I am the busiest man alive right now, is how it feels.
That's awesome.
Between work, stand-up, doing this YouTube channel, relationships, family, ancillary things like home ownership, car ownership, being in like an existing member of society. Like I feel like I'm just being ripped apart. Like life is the rodeo right now, and I'm just trying to juggle all these different things. And it's interesting. One of my coping mechanisms is food as a sense of control.
Okay.
Because like part of my backstory is I've lost a ton of weight in my life. It's like 140 pounds, somewhere like that. It's probably different now. I probably gained a bit back. It's whatever.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating when because I by no means do I feel like I have an eating disorder or anything like that, but I am highly aware of what I consume throughout the week. I do meal prepping.
Yeah, that's good.
And so like all my meals are prepped, but like I am in control of the week.
Oh, interesting.
If I have these things set up for me.
Yeah.
And like the other side of that sword is not just the control portion of it, but like I physically don't have time or decision-making power anymore to worry about food. So like if I meal prep ahead of time, that's one less decision in my day I have to make. Like now it's just like it is time to eat. Cool. It's time to eat the thing I designated a week ago I'm going to eat.
Oh God, yeah.
And so like having to like make those decisions less does help me operate to like run the YouTube channel, do stand up, run the B list, book mics, or like book shows. Like I'm just running around this motherfucker. Like so yeah, it's interesting how much I rely on like food sometimes to feel like that sense of control. Yeah. And when I'm out of control, I will end up like just having a massive binge meal.
Yeah.
And it's wild.
That's an interesting thing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I know that people's relationships with food as it pertains to their either mental state, their body, their self-esteem, their confidence, all this stuff, it really does come into play, and it can like literally impact every last thing. And people get you're right. I mean, that's a massive struggle for people, and you don't have to have like an eating disorder to still have that struggle.
Oh yeah.
It's really taxing. I can imagine. I worked in a strength and conditioning field for a long time and good competitive stuff. And I was like, I'm mind blown by the people and what they would eat and how they would eat. And they were miserable. Yeah. They had poor relationships with food, but it sounds to me like that working, do you work really hard to have like that solid relationship with the food as a part of this whole rodeo of it?
I do. I work to not give it as much power as I used to. Like food took up, like when I was like fat, food took up like a very large part of my brain space. I was like, when's my next meal? What am I going to have for it? You know, and I would like idealize it. I'm like, oh, it's going to be so great when I get to eat this thing. Or I used it as like a numbing tool a lot as well. When things got overwhelming. Like, I'll eat a bunch. That'd be fine. Like, because like food is just a lot like other vices. Like I know people use like alcohol, marijuana, whatever, what have you. They have different vices, nicotine, caffeine. Like I've dabbled in all of those.
Yeah, of course.
Because like everyone does. But you have to eat food.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't have to smoke. Yeah. You don't have to drink. You don't have to. So like it's interesting to like look at food as like a necessity, but also a vice. It can be both.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, that's wild. I get that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Good
so
correlation
it's one of the control. I think like if you want to take food out of it, I think control is my coping mechanism. Like is like just like the sheer like desire to have it. Yeah. And so like that's like so much of my week is so orderly. Yeah. And like because like I can control my schedule. I can control like ha 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 like because there's so many things in my life I feel like I can control right now.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
And so it's fascinating.
Yeah, I mean it is, and that kind of pertains to it's direct. We both have this big thing in common here with how we think about this, because it's like, again, my OCD is so, it dictates so much of like the negative feelings in my life, and it's awful. And then having to spend half of my energy neutralizing those thoughts to overcome the compulsion and the perfectionism. I'm not going to share this thing because it's not perfect, or I know I am not going to reach out to these people to help me because they will do it wrong per this compulsion and this obsession, not reality. And that can be, control is so important, and neutralizing those thoughts. Yeah, it is exhausting and makes us tired. Yeah. Much like Le Flame.
Big tired.
Well, we went off on that for 30 minutes. I love it. I love it. All right.
So the next question I sent you was, I often look for 3-song runs on records. What is Rodeo's best 3-song run?
Yeah, so On My Decide, 3500 Wasted.
Okay.
Those are like, I love listening to Quavo for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't care about anything he says. I just want to hear him do his lines, and that's it.
He's great.
And Wasted, obviously, love that. And
we kind of talked about like how I missed the mark on that one. Yeah. Because like I looked around because like I love 3500. Like I love Antidote, but like there was always like Pray for Love. Is in there, and I'm like that kind of weakens this 3-song run. I went with Maria, I'm Drunk, Flying High, and I Can Tell. Yeah. And then there's like an honorable mention at the end is Apple Pie, like that, like because like
so fun.
It's super fun, and like it's the 4th one on that list, and I'm like, you would be in it if the question had said 4.
Yeah, you made these questions.
Yeah, I know.
No, I love it. No, it's I'm just teasing.
Yeah, because like I said, this one was tough because there's so many good songs on the record. But in my opinion, this is the best 3-banger run without anything weaker in between. Where like I think all of these songs were on an even level with each other, and like there were other parts of the record where I felt that they were all good, but there was one that was noticeably weaker than the one before it, or something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
And this one like was like consistent, so that's like how it like consistency ended up being my success metric of like this deserves like the 3-song run.
Yeah. 100%. No, I mean I can feel that because we talked about it when I came in here. Like Schoolboy Q, that was so disappointing.
Yeah,
weakened fucked up a lot of things.
Weakened that song in a big way.
Yeah, it was
tough.
weird. But yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, because I love Schoolboy Q.
Me too.
But that was tough.
He's one of my favorites, and it's just like, oh god. Yeah. Oh well.
All right, you ready to wrap up the episode with this last? With his last question, which I'm sure will be a big discussion topic. So
I'm more eager to hear yours, to be honest, because it takes me on a trip. But let's go. Yeah.
So the question is: the sounds on this record are very immersive. Imagine being dropped into a world that has been influenced by the sounds of this record. What does this world look like? What specific elements of the world stick out to you? And what other parts of your life are in there? So you want to go first? You want me to go?
Yeah, I'll knock it out here. Right. I mean, as somebody that like does a lot of like sound design, it's really intense how much color comes into play whenever I'm writing any kind of music or creating sounds and like doing any kind of like score work for anything. And it is so much like it reminded me dead on of actually this game that I'm playing right now called Enshrouded, which is a huge thing, and it's this cloud that is like deadly that you're in, and it reminded me of that, but if you had like blue and purple and pink smokes all around you. So I'm like sitting here in Norwood. Yeah. It's overcast, but the light is coming from these luminescent gaseous vapors. Yeah. And I feel like I'm the only one in this weird world that is able to make sense of anything going on, because everybody else around me is kind of like in this half-baked state of coding and not understanding what's like actually happening, which weirdly enough makes me feel like it's translating to reality in the world of people I don't know. Like even in our socioeconomic and political struggles and things like that, I'm just like, why is nobody thinking clearly? And why does it feel like I'm just tripping constantly? And it's like a shock to this nervous system. So I feel like I'm in this place of like chaoticness because of like the inconsistencies in the music constantly throughout the whole album. It's just up and down and all over the place. It's very emotional. It's very goofy, but it's all the same theme of I'm high. I'm pulling myself out of this world that I want and putting myself into a world of vice, regardless of how much I like the life without the vice. Right. And that's kind of how I feel. And so the last part saying like, what's the same? Really, like just the setting is the same. Right. But all that craziness in there. That's the most bizarre picture I could have painted, but there you go.
No, I do think you're on, though. That's the thing. Like, you're right on. I agree, because, like, a lot of the same things that you mentioned, I also mentioned, but just, like, from a different angle. I agree that the record produces this vibe of there is chaos around me, but somehow quiet where I am in my head right now, whether that's chemically induced via like vices, you know, like where like I have shut out the noise because I'm high right now, or anything like that. I think you're spot on with that, because the record is loud, but at the same time quiet. Like it is still somehow like feeling surrounded by something while also being in your own head. There's a layer there that is like separating you from the chaos outside. And that's like kind of like, so if I were to interpret this like visually, you know, like through a movie or something like that, like of like what the world would be like imaginary world that I'm dropped into. I said it's dark, but there's neon. Is like the best way I could describe it. It's dark, but there's also neon. Like, and so almost like night sequences in like Blade Runner 2049.
100%.
And like it's raining, and like it's like being in a club while it's raining outside in some futuristic metropolis. The parts of my life that are still there would be anxiety, but they're muted. It's almost like reliving or a relieving kind of mute though. Not unlike partying during times of struggle where like the problems exist, you're aware of them, they're in the room with you, but they are turned down a little bit and like everything's just kind of quiet. But you're in a club and it's so loud and so immersive, but at the same time, because you're like not exactly with it, like you're like high, you're drunk, you're whatever, it's somehow still quiet.
That's wild.
It's so loud, it's quiet.
Yeah, you painted a wonderful word picture there, because I definitely like see it, and now I'm like, I think what even to expand on that, I'm wondering, thinking about like the other people are there, and it's kind of like our life now, but we're not as like I feel like I would become, with all the other stuff muted, much more aware of how much around me everybody's suffering. You ever play like those weird like open worldy games or read a book or something like that, and you know about like the kids call it the NPCs in real life these days, where you're looking at them and it's like it's the same way we can ignore a person who's suffering because it's not convenient or it's not like a thing that we are familiar with anymore. And it's so weird. The more we've suffered, the simpler it is to actually ignore people that are suffering if they don't have any kind of like, if there's not like some sort of quid pro quo there at times. And that kind of was what it reminds me of. It's like almost socially dystopian in a sense, but because that's what he talks about a lot. Like, I don't want to forget where I'm from.
He's feeling alienated because like the thing he did is so rare. like, of course you're going to feel alienated, dude. You're one of the few people that do this. Like, it's so wild to think about. Like, I have this conversation about stand-up a lot. Like, despite all of us thinking there's a billion people trying to do stand-up right now, there truly isn't. Yeah. We are just in it, and we are immersed in that life, and we see people come and go, and we see that, you know, like, people try it or people succeed at it and all these things. But, like, realistically, we are still 0.02 of the population of people that of Earth that do this thing.
Yeah, it's true.
And, like, so it is rare and sort of lonely to do that kind of stuff, and that's like why we all ultimately rely on each other in certain ways, because, like, you do this thing, and, like, exactly. You understand what this thing's about. And so I think that sort of, like, internal loneliness is, like, comes across really well, even in the sound design of this record. Of, like, like, I'm lonely in my head, but there's so much going on around me right now that it's somehow existing in the same space, and that's so crazy. And that's, like, where I ended up. It's dark, but it's neon. Like, it's
exactly. Yeah, and I had the same kind of thing with luminescent fog.
Yeah,
you know, it's like
and
a
you're
weird
like, but there's
thing.
color, and I'm like, correct.
Exactly.
It's just bright
because it's trippy as shit. Yeah. And then, like, there's the general, like, disconnection from everybody around us that seem to be, like, they're there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely an interesting album. In that regard, it's fun. So
yeah,
cool, man.
Hell yeah. Well, any closing thoughts? Anything you want to tell the crowd, tell the people? You want to plug before we end the show here?
Yeah, this album changed my life. It saved it.
Anyway, I'm 14.
Yeah, I'm 14, and David gave me alcohol. Just kidding.
Yeah, I gave Tyler his first beer.
Yeah,
when he walked in the door.
Yeah, it's clear. It's weird. It tastes like water. No, that's nothing too much to plug. Right now. Okay. Of certainty. So yeah.
With your adult brain, not necessarily like a 14-year-old, like from the perspective of a 14-year-old, with your adult brain, what would you rate this album, like, out of 10?
Oh, 7.5 out of 10.
7.5 out of 10?
Yeah, because it's so. I'll listen to it in 2015. This is the first time I've given it another shot since then. Okay. But it's definitely good.
Yeah.
And I'll be thinking about 3,500 for at least the next 4 months.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
That song rocks.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
7.5.
7.5 out of 10. Okay, good. Yeah.
But yeah, I have things to plug, but at the same time, follow us on Instagram. That's the best way that you can follow with what we're doing about life shows, anything like that. I'll put both of those things in the description. I know one of the videos that I watched intently to, like, help prepare for this was Volksgeist's, like, breakdown into, like, the history of Travis Scott. Super interesting. I'm gonna link that in the description as well.
That's dope. Didn't know that exists.
Yeah, it's like an hour and 10 minutes long.
Yeah, I'm totally not gonna watch it, but I'm just interested to know it exists.
Yeah, it exists. Well, he's the one that I got the take of. He called 90210 the 2010s Bohemian Rhapsody.
Okay, I'll watch it now.
Yeah,
he's just so I can roast it. Let's go.
Oh, like, his bias is strong. He loves this record.
Amazing.
But I'll link that in the description as well. But go ahead and give us a like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and we'll catch you next time. Peace out.